on page 86. We're going to conclude in Mitzvah Shem now the 34th chapter in Tanya, Baruch Hashem, Ken Yirbu. So until now, the Alter Rebbe explained to us various ways of how to gain simcha in your life, beginning from chapter 26 through this point in 34. What he deals with today is an issue that's relevant to all the 9 chapters. And that is a very simple issue. It's so simple that we all have it every day. How do you balance the two? How do you balance the reality that my urges and indulgences are always with me? From the moment I'm born to the moment Hashem takes us back, our urges are there. If you could find me someone who the urges are gone completely, then we call them a tzaddik, or you can't find such a person. I mean, we have tzaddikim. But the average person, and the Tanya is addressed to the Beinoni, to the average person, has urges, has indulgences, has taivas, has struggles. It doesn't mean that the person is a bad person, an evil person. The person is a normal person. Like Rabbi Yoel once told me, the pella about a Jew is not the goy isn't the pella. The goy isn't the wonder. The wonder is the Jew. How can a Jew transcend the normal way of life? The normal way of life, as symbolized by the world, by goyishkeit, by goyim, is the norm. You know, I was thinking about this driving yesterday as it applies today to the situation in Eretz Yisrael. The norm of a goy, be it, this terrible, barbaric, Nazi-like enemy Hamas, or be it someone around the corner from you in Evanston, Illinois, it's one and the same. The difference is the degree. I always go back to a line that I heard from Manis Friedman. Manis said, why is it that you live in a certain place and you feel anti-Semitism, so you say, I'm moving somewhere else. You come to the next place, again, there's anti-Semitism. You go across the world, you feel anti-Semitism. Why? Because the answer is very simple. One second, Moshe. The answer is very simple. The nature of the world is anti-godliness, anti-Judaism, anti-Jew. Why? Because the Jew is not understood. That's what Manis's point was. The Jew is not understood. The Jew is not normal. So the normal person says, I don't get you, and you must be hiding something, therefore I hate you. And this isn't theory, Avram. This happened to me in Marin County, California, when we sought to have a legal right to have a shul, a Chabad house. I don't know if, Avram, you've been to Marin, but Marin County is a very docile area. You've been there. And Marin County is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's upper middle class. It got everything going for it, right? Including the heathenism depicted in the documentary in the 1970s about people, smoking marijuana in their hot tubs. That was Marin County. It was you can have the best of both worlds. You work in the city in San Francisco, you cross the Golden Gate Bridge, you go home to Tiburon and Mill Valley with redwoods, the Muir Woods. It's gewaldig. So, here, I'm trying to put up a little shul. The building was there. It was the original farmhouse of the 528 or 38 design planned area of homes. What are we trying to do? We took a home, a large home, had 20, I think, fruit trees on it, 6 parking places with car, had a pool, it had a 2-story house. It was the only kind. It was the original farmhouse. It was owned by a Hawaiian at the time. So Ralph Castro, I remember his name, because I bought it from him. So, and they didn't want us there. I said, well, why don't you want us there? Because you do things differently. It's 95 degrees outside Saturday morning. Everyone's either in their air conditioner or walking their shorts and all that. And you guys are with these white things, prayer shawls, and black things, and you know, and then it's like you're praying, like, what's going on here? Suspicion. It's called in America, you know, xenophobia. We were a classical case of xenophobia. Okay? I'm still urging a lawyer in my son's community in Coral Springs, Florida, read my book. I put out a book called Chabad House years ago. All the court proceedings and the Rebbe's answers and the whole history of what I went through for 3 years of my life. 3-4 years, believe me. They were 3-4 years, like 80 years. If I think about it, I was an architect, I was a contractor, I was a lawyer, I was a rabbi, one man. I did it all. I'm not bragging, I'm saying it was like, I remember I drove from Marin to Freehold, Freehold's New Jersey, to somewhere an hour and a half away to go see an architect who was from India, who we discussed what type of beam I need to have and how it can fit into the zoning codes. I mean, that's what I was dealing with. I wasn't teaching shiurim. I had to get this thing on the ground of a shul. And Baruch Hashem, we did it. But the fear from the unknown. So every goy, every non-Jew, and I don't say goy in a derogatory way. I mean, every non-Jew doesn't understand the Jewish people. And therefore, every non-Jew doesn't want the Jewish people. The most you could say is they tolerate us. And Hamas doesn't tolerate us. But so Rabbi Yoel, in teaching Chassidus, he taught us the pella, the wonder is not about the goy. That's what a goy is. That's what the nations of the world are. That's what the world is. The wonder is us. How do we survive? That's miraculous. That we survived all these years and continue not just to survive but to thrive. That is a chidush. Yes, Moshe, now you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask in the context of this, what we're talking about, when we talk about the non-Jewish nations, okay, but up until now, I understand, but what about, let's say, people who are Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach?
That's different. That's different. Of course. Of course. The Rambam says that those that fulfill the 7 mitzvahs B'nai Noach are Chassidei U'Mesa'ila. So, Geirim are 100% Geirim, you know, that are real. I understand. You're asking me about Goyim. Halachically, the Rambam writes that those that accept the Sheva Mitzvah are different than ordinary Goyim, so there's also a difference in their attitude towards Jews. You know, to be able to tell you exactly what's the difference, you know, spiritually, I don't think anyone could tell you that, you know. But overall, they identify with the Jewish people. But don't miss the point. I'm glad you asked that, but that's not the point I want you to walk away with. I want you to walk away with, Moshe, is that the Chiddush is us, not them. Okay? And let us not forget that it's like, you know, the Spanish Inquisition, all the wars, the Christian Crusaders, you know, the Turks. I mean, Rome, it's just a continuation. There's no difference over here. The difference is the barbarism and you know, the brutality, but it's all part of the same thing, okay? And those that tolerate, there's always a bone, a carrot bone. You know, we need Israel in the Middle East, so I'm going to give them hopefully $10 billion. You know what I'm saying? We need oil. So Israel will be, you know what I'm saying? There's always caveats. Now, how does this tie into what we learned in Tanya here today? We're going to learn now. Is that the Alter Rebbe asks this question. So how do you balance the two? I am a Jew in a Goyish world. I am a Jew in a secular world. How can I be happy and at the same time acknowledge the weakness? So this is what he says. Let's learn now. Page 86. It's about 7-8 lines from the end of the chapter after the period. V'hinei b'chol protei minei simchas hanefesh hanau. In regard to all the details that we learned earlier, to find simcha, joy of the nefesh, a person should be happy in their service to Hashem. Ein mehen mania, there is no obstacle. Liyois nivza be'enov nimas v'leiv nishba v'ruch nemucha, from the fact that there is a downtroddenness, a brokenheartedness. B'shas simcha mamish, at the actual time when you have simcha, simultaneously it's upsetting. And why is he brokenhearted? Because he looks in the mirror and he says, "Oy, what a jerk I am! Wow! Come on! This is shameful. This is shameful." Says the Alter Rebbe, and he repeats it basically what he said earlier in chapter 31. Hu mitzad aguf. That perspective, Avram, is the perspective of the body. My body is an animal. My body is a chaya. My body wants indulgence. But the nefesh, but the neshama, the nefesh, the soul I have, habamis. I'm sorry, mitzad haguf and nefesh habamis. That indulgence, those indulgences and those attitudes and those coarse attitudes are all from the body and its needs and the animal drive. But simultaneously I have a neshama, and the neshama makes me very happy. That's from the perspective of the godly soul, and the godly spark hamalubish ba, that's invested in the godly soul, canal, to enliven it, as we said earlier, b'peidik lamadaleh. Now the Alter Rebbe says, if you think I'm making up a story, he says it's a piece of Zoyar. There's a story in the Zoyar. Listen to the story. Reb Shimon ben Reb Elazar ben Reb Shimon, the son of Reb Shimon bar Yochai, who we all flocked to on Lag BaOmer, right? Was sitting and teaching his son. Reb Shimon was teaching Reb Elazar ben Reb Shimon, and they came across the whole sugya, the whole idea of destruction, of churban. So Rabbi Elazar realized, and it was very sad. He taught him the esoteric idea of destruction of churban, and at the same time he became happy. Rabbi Elazar. Why? He was sad that he heard from his father the inner meaning of churban, which is very deep and sad, but at the same time, guess what? He heard secrets of the Torah. He heard Kabbalah. He heard Zohar. He heard the secrets. He understood the secret, the esoteric, deeper meaning, and he became happy. Says the Zohar, look at the language now, Chevra. B'chiyah tikiyoi biliboyi, tears planted in one side, in the heart, misitra da from one side, kama, v'chedva, and happiness, joyfulness, tikiyah biliboyi, planted, inserted in the heart, misitra da from the other side. And this wraps it up, and this puts it to sleep. What is that? That the Alter Rebbe is saying, using this teaching of the Zohar HaKodesh, that this is the way Hashem made it in the world. Happiness and joy happiness and sadness go together. And in if you extrapolate that, it's the following: the struggles and the successes go hand in hand. If you don't have struggles, you don't have successes. If you don't have successes, you don't have struggles. The Rebbe always quoted the Frierdiker Rebbe. Listen to this, Moshe. And the Rebbe said, my father-in-law said, a Jew should always be a Baal Choiv. You know what a Baal Choiv is? In debt. Plenty of Jews can say that. I'm in debt. Tuition and bills. And the previous Rebbe says, Yoini, that a Jew should say, I want to be a Baal Choiv. What do you mean you want to be a Baal Choiv? You want to be debt. You want to pay your bills. So the Rebbe explained that what his father-in-law meant was that the way to have success is to have the feeling that you're in debt, even if you're not in debt. But if you're sitting on your loins and playing golf or in Palm Springs and in the winter and nothing is shaking and moving you, you're not growing. You need as it says in the Zohar HaKadosh, you need Pchiyah, Tkiyoy B'liboy. You need simultaneous to the happiness of success, you need to have the frustration that comes from wanting to do more or not doing enough. And Chevre, the Rebbe lived this way, and the Rebbe taught this way. 1975, a group of Bacharim were in Florida for the Shluchim Bacharim, and they were in the yeshiva, and it was Purim time, and they wrote to the Rebbe that they gathered 5,000 children and made a kinus. And you know the Rebbe answered him? That's all? Mordechai gathered 24,000. So ask yourself the question, what, the Lubavitcher Rebbe was a mean guy? The Lubavitcher Rebbe didn't know how to give it a compliment? Of course he did. But the Rebbe was teaching his own boys, his own shluchim, his own chevra out there, don't pacify your work with 5,000 when Mordechai, who represents the story of Mordechai and Esther and of Purim, did 24. So big deal, 5 compared to 24, big deal. Not that you shouldn't do that, but don't pat yourself on the back. It's the same thing that we're learning here. And in life, it's that way too. And again, I share with you things that I saw by the Rebbe, by the Fabrengens growing up, and I think about it now, I'm older. The Rebbe at a Fabrengen can be clapping. Look at the videos. He can be clapping and making with his hands, and the place is electrified, right? And 5 minutes later, he's choking up and he can't speak. He can't speak when he talks about Russian Jews. Or he can't speak when in 1980 a Russian Jew was shot and murdered in Crown Heights. In the middle of a Maimon Chassidus that he said that following Shabbos, Parshas Noach, he spoke about it. Or when Lapine was murdered, Mrs. Lapine, right? The same Rebbe, who it seems to be, so beyond tears, so beyond, brokenheartedness and frustration and all of that. No, because that's all predicated on this little piece in Tanya here. And that's what the Alter Rebbe is saying to us here at the end of the 9 chapters. The 9 chapters of Simcha. The Alter Rebbe says Simcha comes together with struggles. Simcha comes together with pain. If there's no pain, there's no gain. That's it. That's it. But and the more the pain, meaning the more the struggle, and the more you realize that the struggle's coming only to help you. And the Nefesh Abba. What? Exactly. The Lefum Tzara Agra. So when you realize that, then the Simcha is greater. So actually, even this little part, this concluding section of chapter 34, which is really a conclusion of all the 9 chapters, is relevant to all the different meditations, reflections that he gave in the 9 chapters to gain Simcha in your life. And I would say that it's all predicated on this. In other words, if someone says, okay, it's like, the organizations that say, oh, not 25 ways for simcha. In the 80s, 70s, 80s, this was a big thing. College, we're going to give you 25 different ways to be happy if you come to our course and our program. The Alter Rebbe doesn't give you 25 ways. The Alter Rebbe tells you here at the end, if you think that you're going to have happiness and going to say, if I'm going to put on tefillin, I'm only going to have good and I'm never going to have a bad day in my life, you're a big fool. And you don't understand the Torah, you don't understand God, and you don't understand yourself. What do you put? Yes, and we know what it says in the Torah in Parsha B'Chukoisai. It says, "Im B'Chukoisai Teilechu v'Nasati B'Tar Artzachem." If you follow my ways, you'll get the rain, you'll get Gashmias. Yeah, and if it doesn't happen. It's like the famous chassid of Shmuel Gerari of the Marash and the Rashab. He was such a dedicated chassid, and he was a wealthy man. He owned businesses in Knebetchuk. He owned, soap business and cigarettes business, and he had properties, and he also had the logs going down the river, lumber business. And one day it all went up. First, the log business, and then the communists came, the revolution came and took away all of his properties. So they said, but the Rebbe benched you, and the Rebbe promised. He said, now I'm a chassid. When the Rebbe promises me and it comes into the bank and it works out, who says I'm really a chassid? Oh, you understand? Now, min hashamayim, there's a war now. That's what Hashem wants. Don't ask why. I don't know why. But that's what it is, right? Now to be a yid, to be a chassid, to be a believer, now is where it counts. Now, and again, I don't want to say, not that we should wish for a war. God forbid, that's against the Torah. And not that we should wish for pain. And not that we should wish for death. God forbid. Chas v'sholem, it's against the Torah. But when in Hashemayim, Hashem sends us a clear message, and He did. I say it again and again. On that October 7th, God closed the eyes of the Jewish people, and this is what happened. It's from Hashem. I don't care if they're going to find out that Netanyahu and the other colonel commanders and the whole group of them are guilty, and they're going after the war, they're going to fire him. Sorry, chap, it's from Hashem. It doesn't mean to say that all these people did things that were right or did things wrong. And there needs to be din v'dayin, there needs to be judgment, there needs to be decisions. But at the end of the day, it's min hashamayim. So if it's min hashamayim and the curveball is being thrown at you, it's coming to the plate. And the batter's standing with his bat. And it's coming, you need to react. If you're not going to react, either you get a strike or you get a ball in your head or whatever. So you need to react. How do we react? By saying, if Hashem sends this message, I'm going to only show what I'm really made of. Strength, power. And the Alter Rebbe, in this chapter, understanding the difficulty of it, and boy, is it difficult. I don't want to, what do I have to give scenarios? You all see it on the screen, and like some of you have real life situations. I don't have to, it's not my place. It's the Alter Rebbe is saying that this is, the Zohar HaKadosh is saying, this is the real Jew. This is the real Jew. The real Jew is, and you made a commitment. I'm thinking about you, Chevra, as I'm going to sleep, how you could all been Avram in L.A., Yoni in New York, Moshe in Chicago. You could all been comfortable. Just like, look, here we are in Brooklyn, and we're talking about it, but I go to shul, life as normal. They say an extra kapitel tilim at the end of davening. Wow. They give extra tzedakah. Wow. right? But the soldiers on the field in Gaza fighting this enemy. This is real. So talk is cheap, okay? And I know that. But at the same time, the Alter Rebbe knows it too, and the Zohar HaKodesh knows it too. And what they're sharing with us is what Hashem teaches, what Hashem wants for the world. And Hashem wants for the world, stand strong, know that challenges make you stronger, and live your bitachon and emunah in Hashem in every situation. And you'll come out stronger somehow. And therefore, he concludes the 9 chapters, this is the key that all of Simcha is predicated on. The simultaneous ups and downs of life. And we need to think about this and really knock it into our heads and into our hearts and into our children and grandchildren with Amunah, the Taikif, and the Eibishter will definitely show us in Yirtzeh Hashem very soon the greater light, which we don't necessarily see now. But there's no question that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a plan, and it's just a matter of time. In Yirtzeh Hashem, with Mashiach's coming, let's hope and pray that this last war is like the last, and Mashiach will come. And I'm not talking about is it Gog and Magog, is it not Gog and Magog? You know, that I'll allow brighter people, if you call them brighter people, that they can tell you what Gog and Magog is. You know? The Lubavitcher Rebbe was pretty bright, I think. And, he didn't speak this way, and he didn't say we should, it's good for pastime. When you're having a beer on Shabbos with some arbis, and you want to talk about, prophecies, okay. But there's a derech of Torah, Tomim Tiyah Am Hashem Alekecha, go with the Tmimus, go with the Torah, go with the Rabbanim, go with the family, go with normalcy, but realize that there's something happening. There's something greater happening. This isn't just another incursion. This is really a revelation. May Hashem help that we have a great Shabbos and we hear the news that we took care of the enemy and we're all coming back safe to Eretz HaKodesh and to the families, and with Simcha and Mashiach will greet us. Amen. Chevra, on Monday we go back to our regular time. So Moshe, what time is the regular time?
2:40, 45?
2:45. Yeah.
2:45, because we are moving. 1 second.